Listen to The Brew for the best classic hits of the 60s, 70s, and 80s. KOKL, Okmulgee, Oklahoma.
SJ, welcome to Mvskoke Radio, your weekly source for tribal and community news, interesting guests and discussions, plus a local events calendar.
Good morning. Welcome to Mvskoke Radio here on The Brew, 1240 AM, 106.3 FM. My name is Darren DeLon. I am sitting in for Gary Fife today. I'm letting him enjoy another week of vacation, giving him a rest from here. Man, you got to do a lot of things to prepare for this, so he's entitled to a break. I'm sitting here with the owner, one of my greatest guys, one of the mentors helping me. When I listen to him. I watch him all the time whenever he's on the radio. And I get tips from how he does it, but it's Mr. Brooks Brewer. How you doing today,
Good,
Brooksy?
Thanks, Darren. Appreciate that. Don't watch too close. There's a lot of mistakes goes on here.
I think that's what makes live radio great, though. I mean, the mistakes. I mean, we just roll with it.
We keep it real around here. That's for sure.
Exactly. I think that's what makes us human. That's what it shows everybody.
Right.
That everybody's human. But how's everything going with you, son?
Good. Things are really good. Things are busy. We're fixing to get into fall sports. High school sports, they start first game August 31st.
Exactly.
So back to school, all that stuff. So we're jumping into the fall. It's a big time of year for us. So we're excited about that.
That's great to hear. I know, back to school. Yeah, I know my daughter starts tomorrow. And I know a lot of the local schools if they have not started, they do start
tomorrow, Henrietta, yeah.
So, that's going. So I know a lot of people will be up. I know the kids won't be excited to be up and be early about this.
Right, I know it. But the parents are like, yes, they're getting out of the house for a while.
Yeah, I know, exactly. So I'm going to go ahead. I need to let my supervisor and my boss know that I might be a few minutes late tomorrow because I got to drop her off.
My girlfriend, she's an assistant principal at Elk City Elementary, and she was telling me about, could you imagine the first day of school for 4-year-olds that had never been to school before.
Oh, wow.
She said, these kids are crying, their parents are crying, they're screaming, they're putting their clothes on.
Yeah.
Like, you got 100 4-year-olds because she's got like 800 or 900 students in the school.
Wow.
And I thought, I never really thought about the chaos that must ensue on the day one
of
all of these little bitty kids jumping into school for the first time. That's got to be just madness.
And the funny thing about it, they probably have that death grip on their clothes or on their arm or on their legs. They're not letting go.
And the parents are just as bad. Like the parents are crying. They're like, doing all this stuff.
Trying to take pictures and exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Brooks is exactly right. I might be doing that tomorrow, even though my daughter is a freshman.
Hope not.
Yeah, I hope not too. But we're going to be bringing a great show for you today, and we're going to be first talking to the Ethics Commission Board. They're going to be having a public hearing on August 21st, coming up at the Mound Building Auditorium. So we got them, and then we're going to have a representative from the Gilcrease Museum going to be talking about the T.C. Cannon exhibit, and that's what's going on right now with that exhibit. So we're going to take a quick break, and when we're coming back with some of the members of the Public Ethics Commission, Mvskoke Creek Nation Public Ethics Commission. So please stay tuned here on The Brew. You're listening to Mvskoke Radio.
I started doing it when I was 11. I wanted to be just like my big brother. And some of my friends were already doing it. We got hooked fast. I just can't get enough. I'm Jacob, and I'm addicted to playing the drums.
There's lots of stuff that makes it cool to be native. Doing meth isn't one of them. Find something better to do. Check out ncai.org. A message from the Partnership for a Drug-Free America and the National Congress of American Indians.
Who am I? Am I native? I don't want people assuming things because I'm Indian. I just want to be me. But how do I live in two worlds? Some guys just check out by doing meth. But that ain't for me. Because I see my family, my friends, my drum making, my future. There are a lot of cool things about being who I am. And meth isn't one of them.
Learn more at ncai.org. A message from the Partnership for a Drug-Free America and the National Congress of American Indians. Who am I? Am I Indian? Just because I'm a girl from the res, don't make things up about me. What if I move away? Then who am I? Some kids try meth just to escape. But then I think about my grandma, my little brother, my beadwork, my poetry, and I think, I like who I am, and I know meth is not for me.
Check out ncai.org, a message from the Partnership for a Drug-Free America and the National Congress of American Indians.
Welcome back to Mvskoke Radio here on The Brew, 106.3 FM and 1240 AM. What I mentioned earlier was we are going to be having a public hearing for the Mvskoke Creek Nation Public Officials Ethics Commission. Here will be August 21st at the Mound Building Auditorium here on the Tribal Capitol Complex. It'll be in, of course, that's in Okmulgee from 6 to 8. And right now I'm having here speaking with me some of the members of the Public Ethics Commission. No, well, I think all the members, if I'm not mistaken. So I just want to get them on the microphone. How are y'all doing today?
Very well, thank you. Glad to be here.
And can the audience get your name, please?
Shirley Elmerigi.
And what are you with the Public Ethics Commission?
I'm the chairperson of the commission.
Okay, Shirley, could you do us a favor? Could you tell us a little bit about the Public Ethics Commission, please?
Well, I'd like to give you a background of our commission. Back in May of 2015, the National Council passed a law, a new chapter in our law, Chapter 37, and it's the Campaign Finance Disclosure Act, and it included the establishment of the Ethics Commission, which is officially called the Public Officials Ethics Commission. Mm-hmm. And in June, the chief then vetoed it. And on the 20th of June of that year, the council overrode the veto. And it wasn't until 2017 that they started it up by appointing this commission.
So June 2017 is whenever this commission first, started rolling, moving along.
Right.
Okay. What is, I guess, do you know the reason why at the first time the commission was vetoed or stopped?
No, I don't know that.
The only person that would be able to answer that would be the previous administration.
Yes, it would have been Tiger too.
Okay.
That would have.
Okay. Tell me, with the public, the Ethics Commission, what are the responsibilities of the Ethics Commission?
Well, I'm going to leave that to Mr. Wilson here or Mr. Torbett to answer that.
Please, guys, don't be shy. Let's go to the mic. Let's get a little bit closer here.
Good morning, Darren.
Good morning, Jared.
Thank you for having us on today. It's part of our education mission to educate the public on the new law, and the new rules, and everything that we've been working on. But the commission itself, our primary responsibility is to generate the rules and regulations that govern the Campaign Disclosure Act. So we have been working on those about 9 months now. So we're getting ready to, we have posted those on our website so the public can start looking at those, and that's one reason we want to have the public hearing, to give the Creek public an opportunity to look those rules and regulations, become informed about them, and especially people who are considering running for office to become aware that there's a new law and there's some new rules and the regulations they got to follow. We're kind of excited about it. We think it's going to bring a lot of integrity to the next election for the tribe, and it's been probably something due for some time to have some kind of accountability for our candidates as they run for public office. Our rules, we want to make it simple as possible, and we want to make them user-friendly. But at the same time, we want to support the purpose of the law, and that is to bring ethical behavior to the campaign. So we're kind of excited about it, and we think it's going to, again, bring a lot of integrity. And so our attorney, Chandler, has been working on it with us, and he might have a comment or two with it, too. Chandler.
Sure. Good morning. My name's Chandler Torbett. I'm general counsel for the commission. First, I just want to start by saying how big of a step it was for the council to even enact this legislation. When we were undertaking to draft the rules, we were attempting to look at other tribes and other government entities that maybe had similar legislation on the books, and we were unable to find another tribe with anything similar to this. Mm-hmm. So as far as we know, we're the first tribe to be trying to open up our elections and bring transparency to the process. So I think that's really important. So as far as the actual process goes, like Mr. Wilson said, the goal is to keep it as simple as possible, not to try to prohibit anyone from running for office or make it more difficult to run for office, but simply to make it more transparent, because the tribe, the Mvskoke Nation, I think last year had somewhere towards $400 million of expenditures, money flowing through. And as we know, the Murphy v. Royal decision that's about to come down could greatly expand our tribal sovereignty, and this is going to help us prevent outside forces from coming in and attempting to exert influence on our tribal sovereignty and try to manipulate the process to favor their business interests. So I think it's really important, and we are really excited and honored to be getting to do this.
Whenever you talked about earlier how y'all were looking at other tribes or other government entities on making this ethics commission, you said you couldn't find anything. Was that a struggle right there, just trying to be able to get those rules, get those regulations, but also, like you're saying, being transparent?
The only one we found close was the Cherokee Nation. They have embedded some of their ethical behavior in the election code, which it's good. It's just I kind of agree with our council to separate those two functions from the election board to another commission that actually has a responsibility for oversight on behavioral as it comes to elections. But that's about the only tribe that really had anything that to the extent that we're working on, and it's all embedded in their election code.
Do y'all feel that this commission right here is going to be a model for other tribes that maybe want to pursue something like this as well?
We hope so, yes.
Good to hear. That's great to hear on that.
Yeah.
Now, we got this public hearing that's going to be coming up on August 21st. It's at the Mountain Building. Could you tell me about what this public hearing is going to be about? Of course, when we say public, it's going to be open to the public. So could either one of y'all just tell us what the public hearing is about?
Well, we're going to be there to answer questions. We have published our draft regulations, and it's on, like Torbett said, where it's on our web page within the nation, and we are printing out the information, the rules themselves, for dissemination among the public. And so we're hoping that we can generate a lot of interest in this new law that we have. And I believe the process is we're going to have to do a lot of education, because a lot of people do not understand what ethics are. Mm-hmm. And that's the primary aspect of the public hearing, is to put more information out there and answer questions.
Yeah, may not understand what ethics are, or just may not know that there is a commission around. I mean,
correct.
Like I said, we're still, it just started, what you said, it's not even like, it was just a little bit over a year and 2 months old, so about 14 months. So, but I mean, it's going pretty strong from what I'm hearing, and you already got a public hearing going, so that's kudos to you all for being able to do that. One of the things that I really wanted to bring up is, with this commission, I get the candidates, this is like really focusing on the candidates and making sure they're held accountable to what they're going to be doing during their campaign whenever it's coming up for election. We got a big election that's going to be coming up next year, am I correct?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
It's going to be for the Seat A National Council and also the Principal Chief and Second Chief.
Yes.
So whenever y'all saying held accountable, what are the things that the candidates need to be or going to be doing, or what are y'all going to be regulating for them?
So in the legislation that the National Council passed, they actually set contribution limits for candidates. So candidates can only take in $2,000 from each contributor. So that was set in the law. But we were tasked with creating the administrative process of how we ensure that occurs and how we ensure that no one's taking more than that. So what our responsibility is we're publishing forms for each candidate to fill out, and it's similar to the state of Oklahoma in terms of the reporting. They fill it out and they have to write the name of who contributed, the date that they made the contribution, and the amount of the contribution. And then they file that with our office. We keep up with that, and if there's a complaint, a complaint can be filed if someone thinks someone's going outside of the limits or outside of the rules, and then we would launch an investigation to determine whether or not they have violated the rules.
Okay.
So it's reporting. It's mostly just reporting and just transparency.
Yeah, I'm going to ask a question. I mean, of course, being that we're on Mvskoke Radio, but also being a citizen as well, I'm going to ask this question right here, with outlandish question right here, but, in a situation of turning in those finances, with that form, like you're saying, like the contributor, how much money, how can, we are sure that, and before we go into that, I'm not saying that any of the candidates are going to do it, but they're not making up, some of these numbers or anything or changing the number or anything like that. Will there be any checks like, hey, we're going to call this contributor and we're going to make sure that, hey, we're going to verify it. We're going to say, hey, did you give this amount of money to so-and-so? Was it something like that? Will it be something like that or similar?
So complaints can come from any source. Anybody can file a complaint. Anybody who has any suspicion about some of the numbers that are being reported, or if an advertisement that was way more expensive than what they're reporting it as, then that would be grounds for you to file a complaint with us. Or we can, the commission itself can actually initiate the complaint process if we have suspicions. So there's multiple sources for complaints. But largely it's going to be self-policing. The other candidates will hold each other accountable because they're competing for the same seats. So if they think someone's not doing something right, then it's in their best interest, to ensure that without stepping over and making a frivolous complaint, because there are sanctions for frivolous complaints contained in the law. So
that's what I was going to roll into. Like, if you don't want a candidate making up a false complaint about another candidate, was there going to be like any penalties for that, or any, could they get in trouble for that as well?
Yeah, so there's penalties for making a false allegation against someone. Yeah. And if we find that to be a negative behavior, we would be turning that over to AG's office for prosecution. But just to follow up also with what the council was mentioning is, one example of a rule, we're going to require them to open up a separate bank account for just campaign contributions, so we can trace all monies back to that bank account and in and out. So that's an example of one of the rules that we've established. So there's a lot of pieces of the puzzle into the rules and regulations, but the big picture is we think it's going to bring accountability and positive ethical behavior. So that's how you look at it.
Man, that does sound like a great thing. I mean, like you're saying, if you're going to make them open up another account, it's just showing that you're trying to make this legitimate as possible. I mean, and I hope, a lot of people will understand that, and that I'm gonna ask, is there, whenever I guess y'all made this this regulation, this rule, or this commission was made, besides that very first veto, ever since then, whenever this became true, or became a commission, has there been any backlash that y'all know of that maybe from either citizens or maybe officials or anything like that, or have y'all heard anything?
Well, as of, we haven't heard from anybody yet, so we're just now getting our news out and our rules and regs, and that's why we want people to come to our public hearing so they can hear what's happening and how we're operating and how we want them to operate. It's going to be pretty simple, so we're looking forward to that.
It's great to hear. I hope everybody that's listening to today, that this is for you all. This Ethics Commission is for you. They're holding the candidates accountable. They want them to be able to run a legit campaign. And my next question, and this is going to be anybody can answer. Why do citizens? Why do you feel that they need to have this part of their tribal government? Why does this Ethics Commission need to be a part of that tribal government? Anybody can answer.
Well, I think the current situation out nationally, every week you're hearing about ethics problems all over the country, from the president to members of Congress, and I know at the state level even, but even talking with the Cherokee people, they tell us about the problems they've been encountering. So ethics is a primary, it should have always been throughout our history. It should have been in place. Something should have been in place. Because, you know, in this world where there's money involved, there's always people that's smarter than some of us that want to get into the act, and they find devious ways to do things. So that's why I think it's really important, this Ethics Commission. I hope it will encourage more people to vote for one so they can trust our public officials more.
With the officials, with y'all in y'all's capacity right now, how long will y'all be able to be in your, I guess, seat or chair? Y'all's position.
Well, there are 3 commissioners, and we have staggered terms, 2, 4, and 6 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're from what it sounded like, man, this commission is going to be around for a long time, and I'm really happy about that. And I hope everybody else is too from that. So, you know, you're talking about earlier that a lot of this stuff that y'all was bringing up is going to be on y'all's website. Could one of y'all bring up what that website is, please, for our listeners?
Okay, it's listed as an independent agency, but it's under Public Officials Ethics Commission.
Okay.
Yeah.
Public officials, so they can just do a search on that and
yes.
be able to bring it up?
And it's listed under independent agencies.
It's under the Mvskoke Nation website.
Okay, so they'll be able to find it off of one of the drop downs. Mm-hmm. Okay, perfect, great. So if I can bring up one more thing and then we'll go ahead and wrap this up. Just want to bring up on this Campaign Financial Disclosure Act. If whenever that was any chance on how the right word is, modification on that one, if there's would there be any try to modification? I know what we're saying right now, we look you all looked at the Cherokee Nation to get some research and everything, but will this this act be able to be modified if there ever a time comes to be for the Mvskoke Creek Nation? You know, I know a lot of people might...
Sure, anytime you adopt a law or rules and regulations, and you put them in practice, then when you identify flaws, then you go back with recommendations to change those rules or change those laws to help close the flaws in anything that we may discover when we first start to implement it. So sure, we can modify.
Yeah, Jerry's been on the National Council, so he's very familiar with that.
He's been around the Mvskoke Creek Nation for a long time as well. So, yeah, he does know. He knows quite a bit. So, well, we can go ahead and wrap this up. I want to thank the Public Officials Ethics Commission for coming on Mvskoke Radio today and being able to tell us about your commission. And I also want to bring up about the public hearing one more time again. It is on August 21st at the Mountain Building on the Tribal Complex from 6 to 8. And there, y'all going to be telling about what the commission is, what it is doing right now, because, I mean, we know it's a year away, but, I mean, we're less than a year now from whenever the candidates are going to start filing for their office, for a seat. And and it's going to come by quick, so I know y'all got y'all's hands full. And, but now's the time to, if any of the citizens have any questions, to be able to get on to be able to get them answered. I mean, it'll be good to come out to this event to be able to, get those questions answered. So again, I want to thank you all for being on the show today. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
So one more time. Oh, if y'all have if y'all have a phone number or anything like that, can they get a hold of y'all, or
yes.
Do y'all meet regularly, or is it
Yes, you can get all that information on our webpage. We do meet frequently, and we have our phone number for the Ethics Commission, and it's 918-938-0487.
918-938-0487. That was Shirley Amarigi saying that for the Mvskoke Creek Nation Public Official Ethics Commission. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, again. We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back with a representative from the Gilcrease Museum talking about the T.C. Cannon exhibit, so please stay Tune to Mvskoke Radio here on The Brew.
Hear that? That's the sound of Hope being killed by meth. Methamphetamine use is causing huge problems in our community. Hear that? That's the sound of something you can do about it. Events like rodeo, res ball, and family time can help keep kids away from meth.
Talk to your kids. Keep our culture alive. A message from the Partnership for a Drug-Free America and the National Congress of American Indians.
Learn more at ncai.org.
Who am I? Am I Indian? Just 'cause I'm a girl from the res, don't make things up about me. What if I move away? Then who am I? Some kids try meth just to escape, but then I think about my grandma, my little brother, my beadwork, my poetry, and I think, I like who I am, and I know meth is not for me.
Check out ncai.org, a message from the Partnership for a Drug-Free America and the National Congress of American Indians.
Who am I? Am I native? I don't want people assuming things because I'm Indian. I just want to be me. But how do I live in two worlds? Some guys just check out by doing meth. But that ain't for me. Because I see my family, my friends, my drum making, my future. There are a lot of cool things about being who I am. And meth isn't one of them.
Learn more at ncai.org. A message from the Partnership for a Drug-Free America and the National Congress of American Indians.
Welcome back to Mvskoke Radio here on The Brew, 1240 AM, 106.3 FM. We just spoke with Shirley Amarigi, Jerry Wilson, Chandler Torbett, and also Darlene Tarioli with the Public Officials Ethics Commission. Of course, they're going to be having that public hearing on August 21st. I'm getting tongue-tied already, and it's not even 10:30 yet. And so they're going to be having that public hearing on August 21st at the Mound on the Tribal Complex. We're going to switch gears a little bit. We're going to be talking to a representative of the Gilcrease Museum, Laura Fry. Laura, how are you doing today?
Doing well. Thank you for inviting me on.
Thank you for being here. Could you give us your position with the Gilcrease Museum, please?
Yes, I'm the Senior Curator and Curator of Art at Gilcrease.
Can you tell us a little bit about the Gilcrease Museum?
Certainly. Of course, we're up in Tulsa, and the Gilcrease Museum was founded by Thomas Gilcrease in 1949, and as you may know, Thomas Gilcrease was a member of the Mvskoke Creek Nation, and it was really that heritage and that part of his identity that I think drove him to build this incredible collection of American art, history, anthropology, and archaeology, all about the Americas, and really looking at this broad swath of American history and culture. And he really put most of his wealth and his fortune into building a collection to start a museum.
Man, it's a great museum. I mean, I think I've been there numerous times, too many times to count. And every time you're there, you always find something new. You always find something new. You find something that you haven't seen from the last time you've been there. So it's always great to see and great to look at and great knowledge, in other words. Now, right now y'all have a lot of great things coming up throughout the summer, and it's going to be running into the first part of fall. It is dealing with a great artist by the name of T.C. Cannon, and it's the exhibit is the T.C. Cannon at the Edge of America. And can you tell me a little bit about T.C. Cannon, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So T.C. Cannon was an artist from Oklahoma, and he was of Kiowa and Caddo heritage. And this is an exhibition of his work from the 60s and 70s that was organized by the Peabody Essex Museum in Salem, Massachusetts, with their curator, Karen Kramer. And this exhibition is taking really a new look at this artist who's, in many ways, I think, not as well known as he could be because his career was very short. He died when he was only 31 years old. Mm-hmm. So this is really an incredible output of a really energetic young artist who was very much part of some of the political activism of the 60s and 70s, but also very much part of his Kiowa and Caddo culture and really celebrating this combination of both native imagery and non-native elements in his work.
Yeah. I'm going to try and sound like I know artistry or painting or anything like that, but let's be honest, let's be real, I don't. So, but for the people that do and for the people that are listening, what type of painting that he did do T.C. Cannon do? And we know he did a lot of activism. Was a lot of I guess, the activism reflected in his art?
Yes, I think, his, so T.C. Cannon was an extraordinarily talented individual. He was a painter and a poet and a songwriter and a singer. So the exhibition is really the first exhibition to combine all of those elements of his creative output. So the exhibit has these really vivid, colorful paintings, large scale. If you see them in a book or on a computer screen or in a poster, you just don't get a sense for the scale. They're really incredible. But the exhibition also includes his poetry and some of his music.
If I'm not sure if you have any history on T.C. Cannon himself, but when did he? Was he a painter first, or was he a poet first, or musician, or did he just jump into all three at that time?
I get the sense that he jumped into all three about the same time. So he. Again, he grew up here in southwestern Oklahoma, and after he graduated high school, he attended the Institute of American Indian Art in Santa Fe,
yes.
in 1964, and that was right as this school was getting going. I think that was the second or third year the school was open, and it was, from what I've heard described, this really incredible confluence of artists coming together and really exploring very new ways of doing things. And from what I've heard about Cannon, he would be listening to Bob Dylan cranked up full volume as he's in his studio painting. And so I don't think he necessarily saw a huge split between his music and his painting, but really saw it as something that was fused and all kind of working together.
Is there, whenever you, is there something that you see maybe personally yourself that you like, or is there something that from his art that just draws you in?
Sure. So it's this really the color of his work is what really draws me in. It's he was influenced by artists like Vincent van Gogh and Henri Matisse, who were European artists in the early 20th century, using red for a sky or orange for water, and really shifting colors from what you might see in the natural world. And so he incorporates that really vivid electric use of color into his work, almost psychedelic. And so as you walk through the exhibition, these really beautiful, like large, colorful paintings that are highlighting individual people and really celebrating individual people are what really catch you. One of the most striking works in the exhibition is a 22-foot-long mural. And this was so big, we actually had to have the painting rolled to have it shipped to Gilcrease.
Wow.
So it took us a whole day to unroll the painting, stretch it on stretcher bars. We were working with a painting conservator, had 5 different people lifting this painting up onto the wall. It takes up an entire wall. And this was commissioned by the city of Seattle for T.C. Cannon. He completed it in 1976-77, and it's called Epochs in Plain History. And it's really showing this scope of history of Plains Indian culture from the beginning of time to the present day. And on the left side, it starts with a group of elders from what he called the old people, and really showing the beginning of time. And on the right side of the painting, it goes all the way to a present-day gourd dancer in contemporary clothing, kind of walking off the edge of the canvas and bringing it to the present. Wow,
that's amazing to hear, and also amazing to hear what y'all had to go through.
Oh yeah, it was a process.
I'm going to go away from T.C. Cannon real quick and go back to what you were telling me about getting that painting, unraveled and everything, getting it prepared for the exhibit. Personally, I would be scared. I probably got there's a movie called Shakiest Hand in the West. It's got this guy who every time he held a gun, he shook, and that would probably be me with a painting. So, how does like one person is able to, how are y'all able to do that? Like you said, you had to roll it up. You had to roll that painting up, ship it, and then, bring it back. And you said it took a process of how many days?
It took an entire day to unpack that crate, unroll the painting. We had a whole team. We had our entire prep crew working on it. They're just fantastic. And then we had a painting conservator fly to us to actually help with that process and oversee it and really make sure it was going well. But we really, we have an extraordinary team at Gilcrease. They can move a 600-pound painting. They can hang a painting that's 22 feet across. They've placed, large-scale sculpture outdoors with all of the anchoring and the concrete and making sure that something's safe and also, going to be, there for a long time and sturdy. But we have, I think most people when they come to Gilcrease, of course, just see our galleries and it's all very polished and you really get to focus on the art. But behind the scenes, on our lower level of the museum, we have a carpentry shop and a photography studio and a conservation lab and a whole team of people that is working to build those pedestals, build the mounts, photograph the works for publications, conserve the works if there's something that needs to be repaired or fixed. So it really takes an entire village to mount one exhibition.
Exactly. We brought up earlier about it is an exhibit that y'all are showcasing right now of T.C. Cannon. How long will the exhibit be going on?
So this exhibit of T.C. Cannon is on view until October 7th. And we have a couple great events coming up to kind of celebrate and connect to the exhibition. On September 22nd, Saturday, we'll be having a veterans breakfast, and we've invited some of the Kiowa warrior societies to come and join us and really celebrate TC's heritage. He was a Vietnam veteran.
Is that Black Leggings Society?
Yes, the Black Leggings Warrior Society and the Women's Warrior Society.
Yes, I got a lot of relatives with that with that group. That's why I was asking. Yeah, I know it pretty well, although I'm not a veteran, did not serve or anything like that. I was always fascinated with that. My sister, I think she belongs to it or will be belonging to it here pretty soon. I mean, she was always fascinated with it, served, and everything. It's a great thing. It's a great group of people.
Yeah, and T.C. Cannon had enlisted in the U.S. Army in 1967, and he served in Vietnam in the 101st Airborne Division and was awarded 2 Bronze Stars. So he, and it really, I think like a lot of Vietnam veterans, he felt somewhat conflicted about his participation in the war. But it was certainly an influence on his life and something I think he felt pride in, and he did join the Black Leggings Warrior Society himself.
Well, you mentioned up that event. You said September 21st.
Saturday, September 22nd. We'll
22nd. My apologies. Yep. My apologies. What else will be going on? All the other events that's going to be bringing up during this time.
Yeah. So on Friday, September 28th, we'll be having a Gilcrease After Hours, which is our monthly event, kind of evening event. We change the theme each month, but September 28th will be all about songs of protest, and it will be partnering with the Woody Guthrie Center and having an outdoor concert where we're really celebrating T.C. Cannon's connection to Bob Dylan and to some of the social activism and protest music of the 60s and 70s. And so it'll be a good outdoor event with some food trucks and live music. And then we have another music event coming up on October 5th, which is a Friday for the closing weekend of the exhibition. We'll be having Joy Harjo and Bob Powers, who was a childhood friend of T.C. Cannon. They'll both be coming into town to do a concert that's all inspired by Cannon's work.
And Joy Harjo, who's also Mvskoke Creek as well. Yeah, been around for a while. We'll say she'll come into our office every once in a while. So great person. You brought along a book that has... I hope it's a book.
Yes, it is. It's the exhibition catalog.
Yeah. Could you, tell us what's in there, what it's about, and...
Yeah, so I brought along a copy of the exhibition catalog for the T.C. Cannon at the Edge of America, and it is you can't miss it. It is bright orange with this lovely kind of purple-hued painting, 2 Guns of Riccara on the cover. And this is a publication that was produced by the Peabody Essex Museum and under curator Karen Kramer. And I think it's really lovely. We've actually sold out of it already once in the gift shop, and we had to order a new shipment of these. But she invited many different authors and poets to contribute to the book. So Heather Atone from the American Indian Cultural Center in Oklahoma City is one of the contributors. Joy Harjo actually contributed some of her poetry. Frank Buffalo Hyde, who I think is a godson of T.C. Cannon, who's an artist out of Santa Fe, he did some other writing for this. And I think Dina McLeod from the Woody Guthrie Center also wrote one of the essays. So it's got a really great balance of artists and poets and scholars contributing their input and their reactions to T.C. Cannon.
With during that time, you're saying that he was big into the activism, and like I said, he served during the Vietnam War. Was and I'm going to be talking a little bit, but I will bring a question up. We hear a certain eras of artistry, the Renaissance era, numerous eras like that. Was there an era that T.C. Cannon was he involved in with several other artists, or was it just his own thing, or was it maybe was it an era that he might not know he was a part of, or something like that? Or was it just Was it something like that? Was there an error during that time?
Yeah, well, I think sometimes, we look back in time and we can identify that something happened, but when you're in the middle of it, you're not quite conscious of the shift.
Or it's an after.
Yeah, and I think, T.C. Cannon was definitely part of a major shift in both American art and in Native American art specifically. But I think he was one of the early artists who really championed the new Indian art in the 70s, which was really splitting from some of the more older portrayals in the early 20th century, like the Kiowa Six. I mean, he started out, of course, being familiar with artists like the Kiowa Six and seeing those murals in Oklahoma, and his early drawings in high school were based in that flat figure style. But then he really does this radical shift and brings in global influences to his work and portrays Native people in the present day and not just as a relic of the past, and in ways that are really, I think, challenging of stereotypes and really showing a Native culture in a very different light, and also showing, I think, that Native culture and history is very much a critical part of American history overall and American culture. So he's really inserting Native culture and his personal voice and his culture into mainstream American art.
Will there be depictions or displays of maybe his music playing or throughout the museum, throughout the exhibit, and also like his poetry? Would that be anywhere, or would that be, I guess, would there be books like sold of that? Or?
Yeah, well, we do have about 10 of his poems are included in the exhibition as on the walls. We actually printed them about as large as some of the paintings to really give them that emphasis. And then we do have some of his musical recordings in the exhibition. One of his early songs from the 60s, you can absolutely hear his Bob Dylan influence. And then we have a playlist as well where you can listen to several of T.C. Cannon's recordings, both his original songs and some of his covers, and you can listen to other artists who inspired him. And in addition, we've got, because to kind of bring it up to the present day, the Peabody Essex Museum invited the really wonderful artist, Oklahoma singer Samantha Crane, who's Choctaw. They invited her to compose music to one of T.C. Cannon's poems, and also to compose her own song responding to the mural that T.C. Cannon produced. So her music is also included in the exhibition as a way to make that connection between painting and music.
Wow. Well, I'm at a loss for words. I mean, just hearing all that, hearing what's going to be going on, and what the preparation, and also just what the Gilcrease Museum is able to do, just to show off a Native American artist, and what he has done for I'm going to say for art, whether it be painting, and whether it be poetry, and whether it be musicianship. I mean, it's amazing to hear. What made the Gilcrease Museum want to bring T.C. Cannon to Tulsa?
That's a great question. Well, as you may know, we're really renowned for many of our historic collections. People know us really well for our historic Plains Indian artwork, our beadwork, the clothing, quill work, moccasins. We're known for our archaeology collection, for these archives. We have and we're known for 19th century American painting and for maybe the early 20th century Native artists in Oklahoma. But while Thomas Gilcrease did work with many contemporary Native artists in his own day in the 1940s and 1950s, recently the Gilcrease in the last couple decades hadn't done as much with contemporary art, and that's something we're trying to change. We really would like to bring more contemporary art to Gilcrease Museum to help make that connection to the past and to show that some of the historic objects we have are still very relevant to the present and can really help us understand our present day. And T.C. Cannon fits so perfectly into, I think, the Gilcrease Museum mission and what we're hoping to show of American art and culture, because he was from Oklahoma. We have many historic Kiowa objects in the Gilcrease collection, and he can help us really bring that story to the present and show how these cultures and art forms continue to evolve and change.
Wow. And you said, once again, you're going to have to remind me again, how long is this exhibit going to be going on?
It's up till October 7th.
October 7th. Is it free, I guess, for the public to get in, or what? How would the public?
Yep. So we do have a couple of free days. The third Sunday of every month is our free Fun Day Sunday, so you can always come out for that. And but in general, we're open from Tuesday through Sunday. Adult admission is $8.
$8. Mm-hmm. Is there with the Gilcrease Museum, is there like I guess a membership or a club or like a fan club to like let people know what could be coming, what's on the horizon, anything like that?
Absolutely. There's a couple of ways you can find out what's going on. So you, of course, are always can always join as a member, and that gets you free museum admission and invitations to all of our kind of special member opening events. But you can also just go to our website and sign up for email updates, and that's just once a week. We don't do tons and tons of emails, but we'll send an email once a week that just tells you some of the events coming up. And even if you follow our Facebook page, that's usually a great way to stay updated and see all the different types of events and exhibitions we've got at Gilcrease. And like you said, it's always changing. We're always bringing a new exhibition through, and even oftentimes rotating works out of our permanent collection.
How's the turnout so far been with, or the feedback been with this exhibit of T.C. Cannon?
Oh, it's just been fantastic. It's we've always have a crowd of people in that exhibition. Anytime when I go up just to check on things or do a quick walkthrough, there's always people going through, and I've heard just some great feedback. I had one of our docents, who's a Vietnam veteran himself, came and said, I'd never heard of this artist, but he was just so moved. He was almost brought to tears by seeing the show and just thought it was fantastic. And we've heard great reception from, I think, people all across Tulsa and Oklahoma, and even many of TC's relatives and friends have come to the exhibition. As many of them, of course, live here in Oklahoma. It might be a couple hours away, but some of his family members left sweetgrass and prayer ties in the exhibition to honor him, and we left them there and put a small note next to them and asked that people respectfully leave them in place. And it's been so we've had really this interaction, I think, with Oklahoma and with TC's family and relatives that's been really special and extraordinary.
With something like this, as popular as it sounds, as popular as it gets, and I hope and pray that it keeps getting more popular, not for only the exhibit, but for the museum as well. Will there ever be a chance, like a repeat performance, like a repeat of bringing an artist's work such as T.C. Cannon back to the Gilcrease? Is that ever possible? Does the Gilcrease do stuff like that?
Well, I hope you haven't seen the last of T.C. Cannon at Gilcrease, but this exhibition really is special because it's a once-in-a-lifetime chance to see all of these works together. The artworks that are part of this exhibition come from collections all over the country. So they don't just come from one museum or from one collector. They're from other museums. They're from private collections. And many of these works are never on public view, other than outside this exhibition. And this is really the first major show of his work since 1990. So it's been a little while. Which is part of what makes it so special. But I hope that, we'd, of course, given his short career, there's not a lot of his work on the market. I would love to add one of his paintings. We do have one of his woodblock prints in the Gilcrease collection. I'd love to add one of his paintings someday, so we could always have him up on view, at least with a couple of works.
Is that kind of tough, I guess, being able to contact all these different museums, different areas to try and get his work, I guess, that, hey, we're throwing an exhibit together. Could you please donate this for a little bit of time? I know it don't sound that, I know it's not that easy, but
it was, from what I heard from the Karen Kramer, the curator at the Peabody Essex, it was a challenge. She said they were looking at previous books written about T.C. Cannon to try and track down some of the private collectors. They were going through galleries to try and track down who might have purchased a piece. And then at some point, they were just using Facebook to contact brothers or cousins of someone who might own a piece, or going through Instagram and social media doing Google searches. So they were using every avenue available to them to try and track down these paintings. And so they really went through an extraordinary effort just to find them. And then, of course, you're asking someone to give up their favorite painting for up to 2 years and have it go on the road. But they said a lot of the collectors who own these works really love T.C. Cannon, and they were so happy to see his work brought to light and his career celebrated. So in many cases, they were really happy to lend their works for the exhibition.
That's great to hear, knowing that. Because a lot of people could be, hey, that's mine, and be. I'm not gonna say be stingy about it, but it does belong to them. And so you kind of don't want you're afraid to let somebody hold on to that, and that's like a prized possession, and you're scared of something happening to it. I'd be scared to death too. So but like you said, with the team of professionals that you have, it's going to be y'all know how to take care of things like that. Y'all
and everything's insured, of course, but still, it's we are really fortunate to work with all these lenders, and just a big thanks to everyone who was a lender for the exhibition, because they really made this possible.
Wow, great to hear. we're gonna have to. I'm gonna have to hear a little bit more about T.C. Cannon. I really am. So we're gonna have this little segment go on a little bit longer, please. So if you don't mind, Laura,
sure.
With T.C. Cannon, do you by any chance maybe? I know you said you had some things that might have been a favorite that just stuck out for you. Is there maybe any other poetry or anything like that you might know of that you might like that?
Oh, there's several. There's a couple different of the poems I think are really wonderful, but there's one called the Apathetic Indian. It's in the last room of the exhibition, but it's kind of dealing with this ambiguity of Cannon and his feeling about his art career, and wondering if he's really ever going to make it. But then at the end he says, maybe one day I'll end up at the Guggenheim. And I think that really captures his spirit. He was... sometimes some of the work has some humor in it. It has some very serious themes in it, but he's really really thinking maybe this kid from Oklahoma can end up touring Europe, can end up showing his work in New York City and in Washington D.C. and I think he was able to do that even during his own lifetime. His work gained national and international acclaim, but I think in some ways perhaps it took him by surprise. But he definitely seemed to still honor his own past and his own roots and family through all of it.
Thank you for letting us know about that, because this is something that I really want to see and check out myself. Rolls into it one more time, Laura. How long will the T.C. Cannon exhibit be going on at the Gilcrease Museum?
The T.C. Cannon at the Edge of America is on view at Gilcrease through October 7th.
And if anybody has any questions, like I guess for the admissions, anything like that, is there a number that they can call?
I'd say the best thing to do would be check our website, which is gilcrease.org, and that has all of the information about our upcoming exhibitions and our hours and when you can come take a look.
Great to hear. Laura Fry, I want to thank you very much for taking the time out of your day and talking to us about this wonderful artist and what he has done and what the Gilcrease Museum is also doing for him and for the public.
Well, thank you so much for having me on. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you again. We're going to take a short break. That was Laura Fry with the Gilcrease Museum, and we're going to come back and we're going to have our announcements and tell you what else is going on here at the Mvskoke Creek Nation. So please stay tuned to Mvskoke Radio here on The Brew.
Who am I? Am I Indian? Just 'cause I'm a girl from the res, don't make things up about me. What if I move away? Then who am I? Some kids try meth just to escape. But then I think about my grandma, my little brother, my beadwork, my poetry, and I think, I like who I am, and I know meth is not for me.
Check out ncai.org, a message from the Partnership for a Drug-Free America and the National Congress of American Indians.
I started doing it when I was 11. I wanted to be just like my big brother. And some of my friends were already doing it. We got hooked fast. I just can't get enough. I'm Jacob, and I'm addicted to playing the drums.
There's lots of stuff that makes it cool to be native. Doing meth isn't one of them. Find something better to do. Check out ncai.org. A message from the Partnership for a Drug-Free America and the National Congress of American Indians.
Welcome back to Mvskoke Radio. We just got through speaking to Laura Fry, a curator over at Gilcrease Museum in Tulsa. They got that T.C. Cannon at the Edge of America's exhibit going on till October. I'm going to be going to check that out. I hope you all too. Excuse me. Of course, I was wanting to, run something else again like I did last week. But my guest, the information that they talk about is just more. Now, I'm not going to say that this wasn't important, but it's already been played and it's already been heard on Mvskoke Vision. So we wanted to, I kind of wanted our guests to be able to talk more freely, talk more open and everything. So, but the couple of things that I was wanting to bring up, what's going on at Mvskoke Radio, not Mvskoke Radio, but Mvskoke Media. We got a new thing coming on called Sarasofsky. It's on Tuesdays, and I love the name. I'm sorry, that's why you hear a little chuckle from that. It comes on Tuesdays around 7. It's with our technical producer of Mvskoke Vision, Jared Moore. I know Kevin Barnett, one of the reporters, and he's also one of the guys who helps with the TV segments for Mvskoke Vision. He helps with it. someday if I ever get a break and with my evenings on Tuesday, I'll be helping with it. But Jared Moore has a lot of people that come on that will have, and he has a lot of things that he's going to be questioning them about what's going on with Mvskoke Creek Nation and what things are happening there. So please stay tuned for that. It's on Tuesday. It'll be on YouTube. Just put in that search engine, Mvskoke Media, and you'll be able to find it. Also, of course, always Saturdays at 1 p.m., Mvskoke Vision. It's on CW 1219, and we always have a good, exciting segments that go along with Jason Salzman, and he's always bringing to you something new every week. We know it's the longest-running Native American TV show, and it's been running. I'm going to say I'm at a loss for words on how many years. It's been going on as long as I can remember, and I know it's coming from Jared Moore and. Jared Moore and Jason Salzman, they keep going. They keep getting these new ideas. They keep the segments fresh, and every week is something new for you all. And it's exciting that they do it. So just please stay tuned on that one. It's at 1 p.m. Saturdays. But in case if you miss it, just remember you can always go to YouTube. Like I said, just type in that little search bar, Mvskoke Media, and you'll be able to catch the latest episode of Mvskoke Vision. Also, and on here, Mvskoke Radio as well. So a couple of things I was wanting to bring up. Our technical producer and also the owner of the brew, Brooks Brew, and I were talking about, we got school coming up. We know we had a lot of school clothes shopping, school clothes supplies, that a lot of people were getting. I was wanting to ask our audience out there, our listeners, I am doing a story on... I guess parents maybe who have children, or they got guardianship, or family members that of children that maybe have deal with disabilities, whatever disabilities they have, and if they're having like a hard task with doing the school clothes shopping, doing the school supply shopping, stuff like that. If you are having it, please. Give us a call. I would like to talk to you about it and just hear the struggles. If there are struggles, if there's not struggles, I would like to hear that too. I just want to hear how you're able to adapt to it. I never thought of it until I saw a segment one day about there was a lady who, she said she grew up with disabilities on her own, and she always knew that, she had a hard time, and she that. Having school clothes shopping or school supply shopping. And, she grew up to be very, very successful, and also, just try to make a clothing line to deal with that. So it just, kind of blew my mind. I was very, very happy for her, very excited to her, and I got to talk to her. But it also helped me to think about, what about our Mvskoke Creek citizens, our Mvskoke Creek people? There's some children that do have those disabilities. So, I really, really want to talk to you all and to hear about, if there's any, if y'all do the shopping, are there issues that come along with that? We do have some disabilities that deal with, maybe they can't, deal with crowded areas or anything like that. I'm not sure, and I would love to hear from you all. So if you can, please give us a call at 918-732-7703. That's my office number. Or if 918-732-7720. So please give me a call. I would love to hear from you and just to be able to talk to you about that. So let me do a quick rundown. I just have one announcement, and it is with the Diabetes Awareness Summit. That it will be August 30th. From 8:30 to 3:30 at the Glenpool Conference Center, and that is 12205 South Yukon Avenue at Glenpool. There'll be a lot of guests. There'll be a lot of workshops, and it'll be a great day. Like I said, the 12th Annual Diabetes Awareness Summit. For more information, contact Dwayne Meadows at 918-752-7949, or also contact Kimberly Little at 918-637-9684. And then also we have the Public Officials Ethics Commission. We have that August 21st at the Mound Building Auditorium on the Tribal Capitol Complex from 6 to 8. They're going to be discussing what the commission does and what they will be doing. So if you have any questions, please come out there and ask. So I want to thank you all today for listening to Mvskoke Radio, with the guest, with what we have going on. And Gary will be back next week to talk to us. And Brooks Brewer, thank you again. So please stay tuned next week for Mvskoke Radio here at 1240 AM, 106.3 AM, The Brew.
You've been listening to Mvskoke Radio. Join us again next week for more local, tribal, and community news and updates. But